Hi, this is Jules Vandermark from Clinical EFT Connect, and I'm here with one of the certified EFT practitioners from the team at Clinical EFT Connect. This is Susan Christoffelsz. Hi, Susan, how are you?
Hi, Jules. I'm good. Hopefully you're good too.
Yes, I am. So we're just making this little series of videos so people can hear stories from people who have done some EFT and just for people to tell in their own words what they have found to be their experience of EFT. And so, Susan, what would you say has been the main thing that EFT has helped you the most with?
I think the main thing has been compassion fatigue. The reason that I actually saw you and you're my therapist for a while was burnout. I looked after like most women end up looking after family members. I'm not saying they should necessarily because they're the women in the family, but that's usually what happens. And I looked after mum, helped my dad look after mum with Alzheimer's, looked after dad. He had pancreatic cancer. And my brother had acute mild leukemia, and that was 10 years ago, and had a bone marrow transplant. And since then had just so many health issues.
Right.
And because he's single, he'd ended up, when he got sick, every time staying with me to recover, staying with myself and my husband to recover.
Yeah.
And so he'd stayed with us for periods of few weeks, maybe a few months. And then this time he was waiting for a kidney transplant and on home dialysis. And he stayed with us for over 12 months.
Right.
And at that time I was really getting burnt out. And that's when I actually contacted you. So that was the main issue.
Okay. And so can you remember how that was showing up for you? Like how you sort of knew that you were feeling burnt out, how you knew that compassion fatigue had set in like enough for you to pay to get some help with that?
Yeah, I felt sort of this powerlessness and that I was sort of trapped.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't not help him, but at the same time I had to put a lot of my life on hold.
Right.
Also I felt quite overwhelmed at times because a house, a lot of people take it over with medical equipment. He was having on-home dialysis.
Oh, okay.
I felt that a lot of people, there was a lack of understanding by a lot of people about how carers feel and what they do and the pressure they're under and how tired they get. And just people would say, oh, you're a good sister. And that was sort of,
Yes.
And I actually saw someone for some talk therapy. Yeah. But I found it validated how I felt, but I didn't feel any better besides that. And we just sort of just went around in circles just talking about it. I thought there was no really constructive outcome from it.
Right.
Yeah. And then I'd heard a lot about somatic therapies and EFT. I was really got interested in EFT, and then I made an appointment to see you. Yeah.
And so once you started doing EFT, so sort of looking back now, what would you say is some of the differences that you notice in terms of how you respond and how that problem shows up for you?
I feel I'm allowed to have the feelings. I used to feel a lot of guilt and shame about feeling frustrated or angry.
Yeah.
So I allow myself to have them. So I get angry or frustrated, then I might feel really, there might be grief, that comes up or whatever. And then I allow myself to feel those feelings, and by using EFT to work on them, I can then reduce them. I don't get overwhelmed by them. There's, it might be temporarily, but then I can get myself in a much better state. And it sort of clears my head to be able to think about things in a more rational way.
Sure. Yeah. That's really good. And so do you use EFT regularly yourself these days?
Yeah. I've got my brother's back with me again.
Okay.
He's actually really ill now. He's got stage 4 cancer.
Okay.
And so I'm back in a similar situation. And, there's a lot of sadness and grief, plus, a bit of frustration and all that comes up. And I'm using it now. I tap on myself every day.
Yep.
I'm much better. I'm in a much better place than where I was. The other thing that happened before, which was probably about 3 or 4 years ago, was during actually the COVID lockdowns, is that I was drinking a lot to numb myself, and when I was looking after my brother, and so I'd gone from like 1 to 3 bottles of wine in a week, and I knew it was just going to get worse, and I wasn't doing productive things. And now I haven't had any alcohol for a couple of years. I've got my brother back living with me again, you know, and I don't feel the need to go and buy a bottle of wine. I feel so much stronger and resilient, and I feel like I'm much more able to cope. And you know, I get anxiety about what's going to happen as it gets worse and all that sort of thing. And that comes up, I tap on it. Yeah. And I'm just in a better place, and I know that I can stay more resilient and strong, you know, for myself and look after myself. I do a lot of self-care practice that I didn't do before. And I'm also able to do that for him as well, you know, to be strong for him, you know, and for other members of the family as well, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So did you feel like that you had started using the alcohol as a way of coping with the stress, and then you
Yeah. If I got frustrated or angry about something, I would go into another room, like this is when he was here before, and I would drink a bottle. Yeah. I would drink a bottle of wine and I had the capacity to, as in drinking capacity, to do it and come out, and I probably seemed like I've been drinking, but you know what I mean? I could carry on. I just like felt, you know, I had this relief. But now if I did that, I'd probably be sick. But, but my capacity to drink wine was getting worse. Yeah. And I knew I wasn't using the right tools, and I was going to end up in mess if I didn't do something to turn it around.
That's good. So do you feel like you've sort of, it sounds like in a way you ditched the alcohol and replaced it with EFT as a healthy coping mechanism?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's really healthy. I mean, there's no way you could do yourself any harm with it. You know, if you're just using the self-care at home, of course, if you've got more deep-seated trauma in that, you're better off to see a therapist. Yeah. There's no way that there's nothing negative about it at all. It's just positive. And the good thing about it too is that as you're using it and you're regulating yourself, you're actually changing your own, rewiring your brain. So you're actually overriding those bad habits that you used to have before, and you're creating new neural pathways. Yeah. And, you know, that's only a positive thing, because you're actually getting out of the bad habits that you used to have, you know, the unconscious bad habits that we have. Yeah. It creates a lot more awareness about yourself, about your body, what your body's trying to tell you, how you're responding to things. Yeah. And then once you can get yourself in a calmer state, you can actually think better, and you can actually think, oh, maybe I was jumping to conclusions, or maybe I was making assumptions, or maybe they didn't really mean that, you know, rather than just automatically reacting to things.
Going straight into fight, flight.
Yeah, and doing things that you regret later and saying things. Yeah.
So if perhaps another carer was listening to your story and they were feeling a bit compassion fatigued themselves, and if they were thinking about doing some EFT sessions with you or someone else on the team, what would you say to them about whether to give it a go or not?
I'd say give it a go. You've got nothing to lose and so much to gain, because it's something that you can do at home by yourself or with friends or whatever you want to have. You want to do it. There's little techniques, so many techniques you can use that are very discreet. If you're in a situation where you're feeling overwhelmed, but there's a lot of people around, you don't want them to know. You know, there's so many things you can use in EFT just to get yourself feeling better. And I think that's so important. And then it's part of really looking after yourself. And it's so important to look after yourself. And then if you can look after yourself, you can get through all the other things that you have to do.
Yeah, and really manage that stress.
Yeah.
Like the stress doesn't go away, does it? Like you still have stress around being a carer, and you still can have frustration, and you still can be angry or exhausted or whatever, but you've got a tool to help you actually process those emotions in the body.
Yeah. And it helps you even to sleep if you're not sleeping well. You can use it at night to help you sleep.
Yeah.
But also when we get really stressed, we sort of have tunnel vision about everything, you know, about our problems. And, you know, when you
get very focused on them, don't we?
Yeah. And just it goes round and round and round in your head.
Yeah.
When you can just have a, you know, different way of doing it and getting your body in a more relaxed state, you can actually be more creative and come up with some other things you could do, and think and have a different perspective on things as well.
Yeah. And you get that cognitive shift comes in that sort of tells you, I actually just need a break.
Yeah.
Right? I need to be, you know, I often think like I'm like a 4-year-old that just needs to be put to bed and just wake up tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm up to pussy's bow, and I can't make any good decisions in this state. So you can tap to bring yourself down, but then often that you really do just need a break. You need to take a pause, have some rest, look after yourself, and then the effect of the EFT is usually pretty immediate, isn't it? But it goes on for days, doesn't it? Like you feel better the next day, and then often the next day you feel even lighter still.
Yeah. And you get so much more aware of your body and what you're feeling, where you're feeling it, and like you said, aware of when you've reached your capacity, and then you go, I can't really do anymore. It's okay. And you can actually say, oh, I'm at capacity now.
Yeah,
other people, I can't do anymore. I've just got to go lie down or go for a walk in nature or something. I've got to do something else for myself. Yeah.
Right. And that is so healthy, I think.
Yeah.
As a carer, as a woman, to have those boundaries and model them to other people.
Yeah.
You know, you have adult children and grandchildren, and, you know, like it's really good to be able to model that. Everybody can and should say no when they feel at capacity.
Absolutely.
And everybody has a responsibility to look after themselves.
And it's really, I think, more difficult for women to say no than for men to say no, isn't it? Yeah.
And especially, as you said, in sort of our age group, you know what I mean? Like I think older women have been socialised differently to be people pleasers and to keep the peace and to not have conflict and so it can be
look after everyone else first. And
that's right. So it's a lot of rewiring that needs to be done, isn't it?
A lot. It's a constant thing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for EFT.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Susan. That's been really helpful just for other people to hear that perspective from you. And if you'd like to find Susan, not only is she a member of the team at Clinical EFT Connect, but she has her own private practice, which is called Susan Christoffelsz Counselling. So you can look her up online. Thank you so much, Susan. That's been great.
Thank you so much, Jules, for having me. Thank you.
Bye.